Kusangpo and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week. I'm Sherob Zangmo and our top stories for this week. The internal highway from Phinsiling to Nganglam via Gyalifu will start soon. The Foreign Minister Rinzin Dorji said this while speaking to people in Sarpang. Dungsam Cement Plant in Pemagatsal expects to contribute revenue at least 6.1 billion Yultrum to the country every year. And a plan to establish a mining site in Mongar Chaskar becomes controversial. The internal highway from Phinsiling to Nganglam via Gyalifu will start soon. The Foreign Minister Rinzin Dorji said this while speaking to people in Singke-Geok in Sarpang. Limp also announced that the survey and mapping of the road was already complete and funds are also ready. The Asian Development Bank has agreed to fund the project. The Foreign Minister also said that the government was holding talks with the Indian government to either build a stone wall from Gyalifu to Singke-Geok or have barbed wire fence for security reasons. The distance between Gyalifu to Singke-Geok is 55 kilometers. After more than 3 decades, the Dungsam Cement Corporation has finally come to life. The plant is expected to generate revenue of about 6 billion Yultrum annually. Dungsam Cement, with a yearly turnout of 1.3 million tons, is not at its full-scale production yet. But once full production picks up in 2 to 3 years, 80% of the cement is expected to be exported to India. Inaugurating the plant in Nganglam, the Prime Minister said that the plant will contribute substantially towards the country's economic development.
Lenchen Sringtopke said that recognizing the importance and the benefits the plant will have on the people of Eastern Dzongkhag, and in particular the people of Nganglam, it was with the support of Their Majesties the Kings that the inauguration of the plant was possible. Dungsam Cement has provided employment to more than 400 people, of which only 4 are foreign workers. The plant has the capacity to produce 3 times more cement than the Pendant Cement Limited, meaning Dungsam Cement's contribution would be 3 times more of what Pendant Cement has been contributing to the economy so far. Dashu Sangye Kanto, the chairman of Druk Holding and Investments, were amongst the guests who attended the ceremony. On the sidelines of the event, Lenchen Sringtopke met with the officials of Dungsam Cement, the local leaders, businessmen and landowners of Nganglam, and held discussions on the new town plan and other issues in the Dzongkhag. Compiled for Tenedoji, Dikichorin Doji for BBS News.
Public consultation meetings to establish mining sites or stone quarries are mostly controversial. Opinions remain divided and the villagers fight and accuse each other. Our Mongar correspondent Kinkatashi attended one such consultation meeting to establish a mining site at Rokshapung under Chaskar Geok.
This was the scene during one of the consultation meetings. The meeting saw exchange of some harsh words and even accused each other. Some said they are not going to allow the mining as the GUP is involved in it. Some expressed environmental concerns over the proposed mining site.
Firstly, we are concerned about the pollution that might affect our crops and vegetables in future. Secondly, that area used to be our grazing field for our cattle.
The Chaskar GUP Maduji said he was investigated by relevant agencies like Anti-Corruption Commission and the Prime Minister's Office for his alleged involvement. They say they even suspect Dzongkhag officials of manipulating the public clearance. They say their signature for attending the last consultation meeting would be taken as clearance from the public. The Mongar Dzongda Sheriff Tenzin clarified that it is not a clearance, but the signature of presence for the consultation meeting as required by the public consultation guideline. He added the proposal is in line with the government's desire to promote economic activities in the Dzongkhag.
The technical departments such as Department of Geology and Mines Department of Forest, National Land Commission through our land office in Dzongkhag, the Environment Office through the Dzongkhag, have all visited and verified that the quarry site is on a government land. There are no settlements. The private land, there are few there are not used for farming or for any other economic activities, and therefore environmental and social impacts, negative impacts are very, very minimal, I would say.
Dzongda added that everything is within the required law, rules and guidelines. Meanwhile, there are also villagers who support the proposal. They said it would bring economic benefits to their village.
I have land very close to the project site. We are okay with it, but I don't know why those people are objecting. They don't even have land.
I also have land there, but thinking about the benefits to the whole, I'm looking forward to have such projects.
I also have land within the 500 meters of the project area, but we are told that our land will be on lease. It is beyond our reach to cultivate crops. Therefore, I am happy.
The opinions and views are clearly divided on the proposed mining site. It is not sure whether there will be one or not, but with many construction projects coming up, the demand for the stone quarries is only going to increase. King Rashi, BBS News, Mongar.
The Phinsiling Dungkha court sentenced the traffic police officer Karma for 3 years imprisonment for accepting bribe and misusing traffic infringement notice. The verdict says he had accepted a bribe of 46,000 nyultram and a mobile phone worth 6,500 nyultram for letting traffic violators off the hook. The court also sentenced a Bhutanese man, Karan Nandan Sharma, and a man of Indian origin, Vishal Bhutan for bribing Karma. They have been given 1 year imprisonment each. 2 police constables, Sonam Sering and Labaduba, have also been given 6 months imprisonment each. The court sentenced them for carrying out the order of their superior despite knowing they were wrong. The government used to spend millions of nyultram and Indian rupees every year on the maintenance of hydroelectric equipment. With the establishment of the first ever hydroelectric service center in Jimeling and Sarpang, this is all set to change.
The service center was opened by Dashu Tsewang Rinzin, the managing director of the Druk Green Power Corporation. The center is owned by the DGPC and Alstom France, an international energy solutions and transport company. The DGPC owns 51% of the company and Alstom France owns 49% of the company.
Now, this hydroelectric service center was built at a cost of 1,137 million nyutramla. This center is going to have approximately 35 engineers who will be working on hydroelectric equipment. They've been trained all around the world, and they've been trained in India in the Alstom institutes. Now, the interesting thing about this is that all the hydroelectric equipment in Bhutan, from all the hydroelectric projects like Punasangchu, Basachu, Mangdichu, you name it, once they are commissioned, will all come here for repairs. Earlier, I talked to the CEO of the Bhutan Hydroelectric Services Limited, Mr. Tenzin.
In the initial years, based on the workload forecast that we have made, we are expecting about 150 million nyultrams.
Do you have any clients as it is right now? Have they already started coming in the stuff to make?
We do have, as you can see, over there, we have received 4 runners from Druk Power Corporation. And over the years, we are also expecting to move outside the border because in the neighboring states of India, we have a lot of markets.
The center has the capability to maintain and repair all sorts of hydroelectric equipment with state-of-the-art machines. The service center will be able to employ about 160 Bhutanese during its peak operation period. It will also help in reducing the outflow of foreign currency from Bhutan.
For the time being, it looks like there are already a lot of clients who have lined up for the services that the hydroelectric service center is going to provide. But the interesting thing is, this service center plans to expand into actually producing hydroelectric project equipment in the country. So you can imagine how much money that is going to save for Bhutan. With cameraman Purba in Gelifu, Tenzin Rabge, BBS News.
Bhutan Kyunyam Party says the civil servants should not be allowed to take leave to contest in political offices like National Council and local government elections. This is one of the proposals submitted to the Legislative Committee of the National Assembly. The Legislative Committee is currently reviewing some of the clauses of the Election Act 2008 that requires amendment. It will be tabled for discussion in the winter session of the Parliament.
Bhutan Kyunyam Party strongly feels that civil servants who are the cream de la cream of our society, whereby you have a lot of knowledge and experience and wisdom, should be allowed to take leave and be able to contest in the National Council elections or the local government elections. Thereafter, if they are successful, they could resign and serve as members of the National Council or serve as members of the local government. However, if some unfortunately do not win or become successful in the elections, they should be allowed to go back and join the civil service as before, because we do not see any violation of being apolitical or political, because civil service as an institution is apolitical, National Council is apolitical, and local government is apolitical. So if you
Bhutan Kyunyam Party also said there is a need to debate on the requirement of 3 years cooling period prior to joining civil service if a person is affiliated with a political party. The party also said it is important to maintain a cooling period for people from apolitical institutions before joining a political party.
One has to also examine and understand whether there is a requirement for apolitical institutions to have a cooling period prior to joining political office or a political party. For example, does the National Council members require a cooling period before joining a political party? Does the civil servants, especially the senior bureaucrats, would they require a cooling period before joining a political party? So a cooling period needs to be viewed from both the lenses, I feel, or Bhutan Kyunyam Party feels for that matter.
The party added that the Election Act needs to define the tentative list and to clearly mention on the requirement of 47 candidates while filing the letter of intent. They have also proposed to allow voters to vote from their place of residence. Sonam Hamo for BBS News.
Realizing that tourists from all over the world visit Bhutan and also the Bhutanese are traveling to different countries, the Health Ministry is gathering all the preventive measures to keep the Ebola at bay. Ebola is an infectious and very serious disease with fever and internal bleeding. The Health Ministry says the preventive measures will be well in place at the crucial places, most importantly at the Paro International Airport.
The Health Ministry has already briefed the stakeholder agencies like the Department of Civil Aviation, Druk Air, Tashi Air, Bafra and Immigration Department. As part of the precautionary measure, Paro International Airport will have 2 infrared cameras in place to detect fever from the passengers. If any passenger is detected to have fever, that passenger will be thoroughly examined by the health officials to see if the passenger has Ebola.
We are going to train the crews how to handle if there are cases in the aircraft, and we have also developed the protocols to fill in by all the passengers. Now we are making it mandatory. Coming from West African or not, we are asking every passenger to fill in because we are seeing the risk that they are traveling everywhere. So we are doing that, and at the arrival we will be screening every patient. So we are going to put in place the infrared cameras, which is costing of 2 million.
The Health Ministry will soon distribute the protective gears for officials at the airport. Also, the infection control system will be set up at Paro, Phintsiling and Samrup hospitals.
We are also putting in place the hospital infection control system, gearing up with that and training all this thing. Paro, we see it more at risk because, as you have said, more people will be entering from Paro airport. At the same time, we cannot neglect Phuentsholing because people will be entering from Bagdogra, and also some Zonga wherein people will be entering from Guwahati. So these other 2 points we are going to work out, and we are going to have a close dialogue with WHO and seek their advice on how we can ask the passengers that will enter through Guwahati and enter through Phuentsholing.
The World Health Organization has declared Ebola as a fatal illness and is one of the world's most virulent diseases. Ebola is transmitted through direct contact with the bodily fluids of a sick person like blood, vomit, sweat and diarrhea. Pemal Harden for BBS News.
Sending your children to private school is going to cost you more from next year. 10 private schools in the country have revised fees for the 2015 academic year. The increase ranges from over 5,000 Yultrum to more than 25,000 Yultrum.
Druk School has increased its fee by close to 26,000 Yultrum for pre-primary to class 6 and by 17,000 for class 7 to 10. Dr. Topgyal School has increased its fees by 12,000 Yultrum, and another 8 private schools have increased their fees by more than 5,000 Yultrum. The increase has left the parents surprised. A parent of a Druk School student who wishes to remain anonymous said she's shocked by the huge raise. She said the parents have not been informed and added she's even more surprised that the Education Ministry approved it and describes the raise as unreasonable. A parent of a Thimphu primary school student shared similar concerns.
I believe these days some of the private schools, they increase their fees just around 60-70% in a year. I think that is too much. As like we have this Tenant Act, there should be some policy monitoring from the education where they should say that the increase of fees should be based on this and then should not exceed by such percent or something. There should be some policy, I think, should be clear on the Ministry of Education.
We also spoke to a parent of a Dr. Topgyal School student.
As a parent, I can't say that they shouldn't increase the fees more, but they should at least consult the parents before doing that, and they should be sending some prior notice. And what I feel is there should be certain principle and certain amount, how much to be increased in how limitation and in how many years.
The Education Ministry says private schools are allowed to raise fees every 2 years. The Ministry's private school division approves the increase based on the justifications provided by the school.
There is no hard and fast rules for the private schools to in respect of fee application. However, if they feel the need to increase their fees based on the inflation, then they can always apply to us and then also justify on what ground they need to increase the fees. Once the fee is approved, it's not just left like that. We go for the monitoring visit and then we ensure that the fees that they have revised, on whatever justification that they have put is being put into place.
She added, better furniture, new infrastructure and hiring of expatriate teachers are some of the justifications provided by the private schools. She also said private schools are also business entities and that parents always have a choice to send their children to a private or a government school. Parents agreed but said some form of monitoring in the fee increment has to be there to ensure good education doesn't become beyond the means of average Bhutanese family. Compiled for Sonam Chodin, this is Tandin Finso for BBS News.
From next academic session, students in Trumshing and nearby Georgs and Tashkang might rush to get admission at the newly constructed Trumshing Middle Secondary School. The school opens next year. The new school building boasts good facilities besides being located close to Trumshing, Kangpar and Khaling Georgs.
Students might gladly make their way from here to here, and the reasons would be crystal clear: the facilities. Locals said it is good for a remote school like theirs to enjoy these facilities. This is the newly constructed Trumshing Middle Secondary School. It will accommodate classes pre-primary till 10. The school has boarding facilities for about 200 students. The interesting thing about this new school is the rainwater harvesting system to supply the school with uninterrupted water supply throughout the year.
It is not only the people of Trumshing, but also Kangpar Geog who will be benefited. And since Khaling shares border with Trumshing, it will also benefit them. So we are looking forward to send our children to the school next year. And moreover, people are already excited about it.
The government of India funded the construction at a cost of 110 million Nultrum. The construction started in March 2012 and it's now complete. The students here will also no longer have to travel outside their Geog looking for middle secondary schools elsewhere. Compiled for Cheche, Tandin Finso, BBS News.
Tasho Kunzonchu, popularly known as Tasho Shinkarlam, passed away recently at the National Referral Hospital in Thimphu. He was 86. Tasho was a stroke patient. Tasho Shinkarlam was Tozeb under His Majesty II Drukyalpo in 1944. Tasho also served as a clerk under His Majesty III Drukyalpo. He was the one who introduced various mark stances in Tashchezong. Among his many other contributions to the nation, Tasho also developed Dzongkha military drill commands and insignia for military ranks. Late Tasho also redesigned the national flag and condensed the national anthem. In 1968, he was awarded the Red Scarf by His Majesty III Drukyalpo. He resigned in 1985 after 41 years of service. The Mongar Dzongkhag has asked about 100 families who have been living in government-owned land to dismantle their houses by December this year. The directive comes after the circular from the National Land Commission.
The circular from the National Land Commission says the Geogs and Dzongkhags are to strictly abide by the Land Act 2007. The Land Act states encroachment of state-owned land is an offence of petty misdemeanor. Our Mongar reporter talked with some of the settlers in Lingmithang, and this is what they had to say.
We have loans from the financial institutions, and our biggest worry is how to repay if the house is dismantled. As an option, what we are thinking is if the government could defer till some of our landowners construct building in the town. We are ready to shift our shop if we get a house.
The house behind me has been constructed by my wife's parents since 1980s. Now what we think is, firstly, we would be happy if we are granted Kidu, and secondly, we could lease the land for business.
As the date to dismantle their homes draws closer, some of them have not been able to comprehend why they have been asked to move away. Langamu cannot speak. She lives in Lingmithang with her 51-year-old husband. The house they live in was built by one of their relatives.
Gub told us that he would construct house for us at Saling, but she does not listen. She says she would live and die here. Now what we can do is, we will have to drag her with a rope.
Many say they are yet to decide what step to take next. Compiled for Kingata Shane Monger, Sonam Hamo for BBS News.
The wildlife rescue team has rescued and safely released a common leopard and endangered species. It was caught in a trap set by the villagers of Umlingeok and Sarpang Dzongkhag.
These foresters have come all the way from Thimphu to rescue the leopard. The leopard has been caught in a trap set up by a villager to prevent wild boars, deer and rabbits from attacking his crops. The trap was set in such a place that it was difficult for the forestry officials to tranquilize the leopard. He misses the first shot, but the second one hits the leopard. The animal is unconscious. It is not known when the leopard fell into the trap, but villagers saw it on Sunday morning.
Wild boars are attacking the crops. It's been 5 days. I set up the trap.
They are like our neighbors, very familiar. They come even before the sun sets and start eating up the crop.
After confirming the animal is unconscious, the foresters approach the animal to rescue it from the trap. The wires are cut and the leopard is safe. The male leopard weighs 65 kilograms and measures 2.3 feet in height. With the help of the villagers, the animal is loaded into the cage. As the animal lies unconscious, curious villagers gather to get a last glimpse of the animal. The team leader of the wildlife rescue team based in Thimphu said, "It is an endangered animal and therefore needs to be protected." He added that in case of similar incidents, people should inform the team.
The trap should not be kept for years because if it starts to rust, it will fail to trap the animals.
With the unconscious leopard loaded in the wildlife rescue ambulance, it is taken away from human settlement and safely released into the wild. Compiled for Karma Wangdi, Tenzin Rapke, BBS News, Gelifu.
Phobjikha Valley in Wangdefodang is in grip of erratic power supply. Frequent power blackout has been tormenting the Phobchips for years now. Our reporter Ishori Gurung was there and filed in this report.
Power blackout is an everyday problem in Phobjikha. Since 2011, erratic power supply has cast a blight on the otherwise beautiful valley, the winter habitat of the endangered black-necked cranes.
If the household's own gas stove, the power failure doesn't affect much. But unlike olden times, we don't use firewood anymore because we are not allowed to collect it. So sometimes we even have to forego meals when power failure hits.
The frequent power blackout is also affecting work output of the government officials. It is worse during rain and snowfalls and strong winds. There are 2 linemen for the 3 kioks of Gangte, Phobji and other, but they are capable of carrying out only minor maintenance.
Sometimes big trees fall down, damaging more than 2 to 3 poles at a time. We cannot rectify it immediately because we have to check phase-wise by putting off the power supply.
Bhutan Power Corporation's manager in Wangdefodang, Diliram Adhikari, said frequent power failure is due to heating of the overhead high voltage aerial bundle cable ABC. The whole connection with 170 to 180 joinings running through dense forest has to be replaced if the problem is to be solved for good. He added shortage of manpower and lack of vehicle is hindering their efforts to address the problem. There is no immediate solution in sight, it seems, which means people of Phobjikha will have to endure frequent power failure, no matter how problematic it is. Compiled for Ishori Gurung, Kinsang Ishi, PBS News.
Managing waste has always been a problem. Many rules and regulations are put in place, but with no strict implementation. And that is where we people need to take little extra effort to manage our own waste. This is a story about a man in Sirang who wants to build a greenhouse with PET bottles.
This is where 26-year-old Sringpencho Sherpa lives. His house stands out from other houses with stack of PET bottles in front of his house. He has been collecting as well as buying PET bottles in Sirang for 3 months now. So far he could get about 220 kilograms of these bottles, of which he bought 120 kilograms of PET bottles. And all he wants to do is build a greenhouse.
In Bhutan, we have huge problem with waste management. It is getting difficult to manage waste, and many of us just think to earn cash by selling PET bottles and keep their house clean. People also carelessly dump the waste. I feel very sad, so I am building a greenhouse using PET bottles to contribute to waste management.
He's not alone in his endeavor. His better half also helps him collect PET bottles whenever she gets time. Sring said the Dzongkhag agriculture sector has also been very supportive with the idea.
Dzongkhag agriculture sector has helped me in small way by contributing PET bottles, and they said that they will also help me in building the greenhouse. And I have also asked for financial support to buy PET bottles as I don't have enough cash. Maybe they are busy. I haven't heard anything from them as of now.
Supporting his idea, a scrap dealer also gave him about 100 kilograms of PET bottles for free of cost.
He's doing some good works. It is good for society also, and it helps in controlling waste also, in cleaning environment. And on top of that, he's having some financial problem also, and facing problem in collecting bottles. And I have a stock out there. Though I buy from others, I am giving in free to help him. If he gets success, then I think it will be benefit for other people also. Others who can learn from him.
Sring plans to complete his greenhouse by December this year. If his idea works, he will not only be growing off-season vegetables, but also help address the issue of waste management in Sirang. Compiled for Kinju Sring in Sirang, Pemal Hadin, BBS News.
That is all we have for you this week, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.